Welcome everyone to this week's current events class. I'm Sabbath Lafleur'S, seated here with some of our middle school students. I decided to ask them to come and share with me again. If you remember them from our initial current events class, I have Genesis Lewis here, Truth Lafleur, Charles Adams, Amir Cabre, Mariah James, and Fidel Sam. Welcome everyone. How are you today?
Good.
Good, great. Now, there's a lot that I want to discuss with you all today. Of course, I want to get started with the coronavirus because that is definitely something that everyone is talking about. And I know that you all have been keeping abreast of what's been going on with the coronavirus, correct? But today's topic in the coronavirus, I want to talk about some of the absurdity or strange or weird things that people have been doing. If you have gone on the websites or internet, you have seen much information about the coronavirus, right? And even though we have some of the heads of the health industries telling us about it, I don't necessarily believe everything that they tell us. You know, the government they will only give us information that they want us to know. And so I don't trust that. Personally, I don't trust that. But what I wanted to talk to you all about today was some of the crazy things that we've been seeing on the internet. Have you all seen some crazy things about the coronavirus on the internet? All right, so I'm going to show you some things that we have been witnessing, and then we can talk more about it, okay? So the first thing that was shown is the fact that garlic kills the coronavirus. This is what is being stated, right? The garlic kills. Obviously, we know that that is not true. And then as we go on, and again, these are things you can find over the internet. There's an Indian legislator who believes that cow urine is an ideal solution to the spread of the coronavirus. So basically what he's saying is that cow urine will help in stopping the spread of the coronavirus. How crazy is that? And as we continue, they are actually making arts and crafts themed off of the coronavirus. So if you go to Etsy.com, they actually have models of arts and crafts based on the coronavirus for people to purchase. My question is, who would buy that? Would you buy that? No. Okay, so that's another thing. And here we go. But the Corona beer. Americans say they won't drink Corona beer because of coronavirus, but sales are up 5% anyway. Now, none of you drink beer. None of you drink beer. None of you will ever drink beer, right? But what I wanted to showcase was the fact that the Corona beer, people actually stopped buying the Corona beer after a certain time with the initial onset of hearing of the coronavirus because they thought the coronavirus was associated with the Corona beer, which is absolutely absurd, all right? And then as we go on, we see the senator here with the gas mask on. But this is the real one I wanted you to see. Look at the image of this woman here with a bucket over her head. Now, this is, in her mind, protecting her from catching the coronavirus, all right? So if you go online, there are some extremely crazy and bizarre things that people are doing as a result of the coronavirus. So my question to you all is, what have you all seen? What have you heard from your family members or your family? How is your family? Are they preparing? Are they doing any things? Are they home from work and so forth? Because you know many schools are closed down, and right? So what's been going on with your families and friends?
Well, I've seen this guy. He didn't have any face masks, so he put on like menstrual pads on his face as a solution for the face mask.
Wow. Okay.
Pastor Manning, he said that he was gonna start stocking up on food because there may be a time where there's no food in the stores because they couldn't get any because the coronavirus would be spread in the air. So Pastor Manning is now stocking up on food now.
Right. Have you all seen people actually stocking up in the stores?
Yes.
Buying multiple items and so forth? Are your families doing that?
Yeah.
Are they doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you feel about this? As I was listening to Pastor this morning in Trust in the Lord Hour, and I'm sure you all were listening as well. And this is going to affect everyone, right? But because we are the elect, because God has chosen us, we won't die from it. But the other interesting fact of the coronavirus is that they're saying that children or young people are the carriers of this, but yet is really impacting older people, the seniors, right? So what have you all been doing anything different yourselves individually?
I have been washing my hands more when I come in the house, and I've started wearing gloves on the train when I hold on to the poles.
How are people on the trains? Are people different, or they just going about their everyday lives as usual?
Well, people, they're kind of different because, like, some people are wearing more gloves. And, like, earlier today when I was on the train, this guy, he, like, coughed. And, like, a lot of people kind of got freaked out and, like, moved away from him.
Yeah. A cough is not a cough anymore. A sneeze is not a sneeze anymore. Remember the days where people used to say bless you when you sneezed? Now if you sneeze, people are like, oh my gosh, corona, corona, corona. Because people are afraid. They're in fear of this, right? So, has anyone else seen any changes as a result of this virus?
Yeah, more people are being careful and they're being more healthy. Some people are not touching doorknobs. They're using their coats or gloves.
Okay.
If you go to like a supermarket or store, you don't see any more hand sanitizer because people are getting like more scared and they're stocking up on hand sanitizer.
Let me ask you all a question as a result of the statement you just made. People are stocking up on hand sanitizers, right? Is buying multiple stocks of hand sanitizers going to protect you? I guess is what I mean? Is it really going to protect you? Is buying hand sanitizers really the solution to this? Is not shaking hands really this? And I'm not saying that you should not do these things. Of course, Pastor has given instructions as to what we should do. But what do you think the real answer is? Or is there a solution to this at all?
There is ways that you can stop the spread of the virus. Like Mariah said, she's washing her hands more. Right. That is also a solution. You can wash your hands more because that's like the only way that you can get rid of germs by washing your hands. Hand sanitizer only lasts you until you get a chance to actually wash your hands.
Okay.
There's probably only one big solution that we need, and that is we need to be a part of the elect and believe in
Absolutely.
God.
Amen. Amen.
I do not think using hand sanitizer will help because when you're washing your hands with soap and water, the water washes all the germs off and it rinses it off, and hand sanitizer still stays there. So I don't think it's gonna help at all.
Are you all panicked like most people are? Because people are in a real panic. Are you all in fear? Are you all in panic any kind of way whatsoever? Why?
Well, at first I was in panic, but then I started thinking and I was like, I am at ATLAH, I'm under the word of God, so I know there's always a solution.
Amen. So that gives you what, strength and confidence?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
It's the same thing because I know that we will be protected from all these viruses because I believe that I am a part of the elect because I'm under the teaching of the Almighty God and of Pastor Manning. So,
are your family members at all panicked or in fear of this? Do they seem to be that way?
Yeah, because sometimes I talk to my father and he's always like, "Did you wash your hands?" Even though I don't see him, he's like, "Did you wash your hands? Are you washing your hands? Be careful. Wear a mask. Wear gloves and stuff." I'm like, okay, jeez.
Anyone else?
I don't think my family is scared because my parents are in the church.
Right.
Even though we're taking like more precautions to the virus. Like if I go on the bus, I have this like sheet protector I sit on.
Okay.
Just in case, because there's people on the bus who are very disgusting.
Yeah, and that's despite the coronavirus. People are just that way. I wanted to show you all a brief video as we're talking about the fact that people are in fear, people are panicking. Many schools have been closed down. More schools are going to close down. And I wanted you all to watch this video. It's really brief, but I wanted you all to see the gist of what we're talking about as we're speaking about the coronavirus.
Nobody want their child to be sick, and don't nobody want to take that virus to their house.
Parents with children at Treadwell Middle and elementary schools are not playing around. Many wiped their kids down, and some even sprayed them with disinfectant spray as they took them home Monday.
And I wiped my children's backpack down when I got them out of school. Sure did. Gave them gloves. Sure did.
Parents are doing this after they found out an employee who works at Treadwell Middle and Elementary came in contact with a person who tested positive for the coronavirus in Memphis. Some took more extreme measures.
2 garbage bags. My shoes came and loose. 2 sacks.
So that was a brief video that I wanted you all to look at. And as we're talking about the things that people that are doing that are absurd, that are absurd. You saw the father disinfecting, spraying his son down with disinfectant because people are in fear. People are panicked. And if we were not here, if you were not a student in Great Tomorrow's middle school, if you were not a member of the ATLAH One Missionary Church, do you think that you would be reacting the way that you see people reacting? Anyone? No. You don't think that, you think? I wouldn't care. Okay, but you can understand, I mean, even though many things that they are doing are absurd. You saw the older woman there with the plastic bag over her face and bags on her shoes, is as though that is going to protect her from the coronavirus. Obviously, is not going to protect her, but you can understand. Can you understand why, if you don't know the Word of God, if you have not been taught the way we're taught, can you understand why people are behaving the way they are behaving? Yes. It's right. It's obvious, right? And go ahead, Charles. You want to say something?
I wanted to say, I think the reason for this coronavirus is that God is punishing us for all our sins that we have done throughout our lives.
Yeah. And that is a definite, it's part of the tribulation. So this is part for the course, but again, this is light compared to what's going to happen. Remember, as we read through the Bible and you read Revelations and you read the book of Matthews, and it speaks about the tribulation, the things that are going to happen, right? The famines, the rumors of wars, the pestilence. So this, and Pastor Manning has said this time and time again, this is nothing compared to what's going to happen. I mean, when the real stuff comes, people are going to be begging for the coronavirus again. This is light compared to what's going to take place. But again, you can understand why, if you're not taught the Word of God, if you're not a student in this school, if you're not listening to the words of the Honorable James David Manning, why people would be reacting and responding in the ways that they are responding, correct? Okay, so we know that we have instructions from Pastor Manning. Do you all inform your parents or family members as to what is being said here, especially in regards to the coronavirus? Because again, this has everyone's attention. So do you all talk to your family members?
Yes. Every night I discuss my mom. We watch the news, and then we discuss like what should we do. She always tells me everywhere you go, wash your hands. Make sure you don't touch like everything you see.
What about anyone else? Do you discuss with your parents? Not for those whose parents are here, but do you tell your parents of anything that you hear from here, especially regarding the coronavirus and what's been said to us? Anyone?
I tell my mother to get like canned food instead of all the food that you have to cook up, because you don't know what might happen, and get more bottled waters and see if she could find any soap anywhere.
Yeah.
Because all the soaps are being taken away, all the shelves are clear and stuff.
So we know that this is without a doubt going to continue to take place, and even as we speak now, from today till last week, from last week till today, should I say, the numbers have increased. More people have caught the coronavirus. More people have died from the coronavirus. By tonight, when we're in prayer service, more people would have been infected. So day by day, we're seeing this, right? And so when Pastor says it's going to affect all of us, it is definitely going to affect all of us. But if we can just remember the things that God has spoken unto us through Pastor Manning, we'll be fine. We'll make it through. Amen? Amen. All right. I think now that we should take a break, and then I want to come back with a story that happened last week in the news. So let's take a break and we'll be back.
When you see the school called ATLAH, you see righteous boys and girls, always standing with the sword of the mighty God, as righteous leaders all over the world. We'll never turn to the left or the right. We shall prevail in all our fights, and we will say, like Papa Manning says, ATLAH, that's what God says. And we will say, like all our teachers say, ATLAH, that's what God says. ATLAH, we love you. ATLAH, we love you. We love you. Great tomorrows, we love you. We love you. ATLAH, we love you. We love you.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars. Really tall. I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
All right, I wanted to talk to you all about a story or an incident that took place last week. Sometime, I believe it was either Friday or Saturday of last week. And that was a 15-year-old girl who was attacked by a group of boys. Now, I'm going to play the video in a few minutes. It's heart-wrenching to me. As a mother of 4 daughters watching this video, it made me extremely angry and upset when I saw this. Okay, so I want to run this video, which will be a few minutes, and then we're going to discuss it. Okay.
And good afternoon once again to you. I'm Liz Cho. Charlene is off this afternoon.
I'm David Navarro. We begin this half hour with shocking video. A 15-year-old girl brutally attacked and robbed by a gang of teenage boys in Brooklyn.
You can see they are punching and kicking her until she lost consciousness. The gang of boys even stole the shoes off of her feet and her debit card. Eyewitness News reporter Jim Dolan is live in Crown Heights with the very latest on the search for the suspects. Jim.
Liz, we don't know what started all this, but we know it ended with a 15-year-old girl brutally beaten, unconscious on the ground out here in Crown Heights by a group of young men who stole her credit card, her debit card, and her Air Jordan sneakers and her cellular phone. This all happened yesterday. You see, first one teen pushes that 15-year-old girl to the ground, and more than a dozen others start kicking and punching her so brutally she was unconscious. And as the boys run away, one among them, remember, that girl is unconscious on the ground. One boy pulls her Air Jordan sneakers off her feet and he walks away with them. We've slowed it down so you can see his face. Police want to find him and obviously everyone involved in this brutal assault yesterday here in Brooklyn. The NYPD sent out on social media today saying this is sickening video of a 15-year-old viciously attacked by a group of school children. One young man takes the sneakers right off the unconscious victim's feet. We can't allow this behavior in our community, that social media post says. Again, police looking for anyone connected with that assault. The video is quite clear. You can make out a number of faces. The 15-year-old girl remains hospitalized.
Watching that video, again, really angers me as a mother. Watching a group of boys beat this girl the way that they beat her. And there are conflicting reports as to why they did this. But I'll say this, it doesn't matter what they're claiming that she did or did not do. Nothing warrants a young girl being attacked by a group of boys this way. And I know that you all read the articles and you saw the videos prior to our class. So let's discuss it. Let's talk. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, like, it wasn't, she wasn't even ganged up on a group of girls. Mind you, it was boys. I mean, like, I could understand if girls would, like, beat her up. But if it's boys, that's just unacceptable. Boys are not supposed to hit girls. Even if a girl was to hit you, it wasn't even that serious. It looked like 20 boys were ganging up on this one little girl. Like, come on now.
How did you all feel watching this video?
Actually, what Mariah said, it was close to 20. It was 18 teens. And I don't think that's right. Why would 18 teenager boys would do that to one 15-year-old girl? I also think that when you become a teenager, and they're just making more people believe that black people are crazy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else?
I think that it was crazy for their action to be ganging up on a girl, and just no matter what she did, they shouldn't have they shouldn't have dealt with this in this way. They should have, probably tell somebody, but not get everybody involved and start beating her up until she gets unconscious. And that's why more people, they feel a certain way about black people.
When I watch this video, it makes me feel like upset because even if it was an argument between her and one of the boys,
right,
they all of them have to come and jump her, and then at the end they're gonna take her sneakers. Like, that's just stupid. Why don't you just leave her? You already did what you did to her, and then you're gonna make it worse by just taking her shoes off, and she's unconscious too. Stupid.
It didn't matter whatever the girl did to one of the boys. It's not your opinion like to hit girls, but thank God I'm in this school, because this school you can't hit girls, but we just tap them, but that's different. but not beat them up, make the girl go unconscious, and then after that put the point and take their shoes though, and the credit card. I wonder what the mother's feeling right now, and the sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
I think this is a racist event because God made men to be leaders, and this is not leading. They're telling the young youth that you should always hit girls no matter what. You should always defend yourself. And the men, as Pastor Manny said, men should always protect the womb and never lay their hands on a woman.
Absolutely. A couple of you mentioned the fact that watching these young boys do this, and your statements were, that's why people say what they say about black people, right? And what do they say about black people? What do they say about, especially young black people, a group of boys like this? What do they normally say?
They say, oh, come on, let's cross the street. A group of niggas, they coming.
Yeah. And with rightful reason. As you can see, when you see a group of boys like this who look like a pack of animals attacking this young girl, you can't, it's not surprising, or you can't get upset or angry at the fact that there are other people in other races who feel the way they do, right? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And even when I see a group of young boys, I cross the street. I don't stay on the same side that they do because I don't know what they're up to, right? Fidel, you wanted to add to that?
Like, I wonder what did she do really bad that they had to do that to her. But even though like she did that really bad, at least tell the teacher. But don't do that to like a girl. Then when you go back to school, all the girls might gang up on you.
And that's assuming they go to the same school. I don't think that they go to the same school. Go ahead.
One witness, she was a woman. She said that she saw them coming, and she said that there was this big one. He jumped on her.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that was right. That got me angry.
Well, I also read this one article that said that the reason why they jumped her or whatever, that she was talking smack. I don't care what she was saying. You don't have the right to put your hands on a 15-year-old girl, especially if you're a boy. Like, what are you doing?
Would this be okay if it was an older woman rather than a 15-year-old girl? Would it make a difference? No. Would it make a difference under any circumstance?
It doesn't matter like how old you are. You could be 5. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a teenager or a little kid. Don't put your hands on them. But if y'all playing in like around, but that's different. But I don't know what she did, but that's not right.
So what do you think the problem is for a group of young boys to go and do this to anyone, but especially to a woman, a womb, as you've spoken about, Charles? What do you think is wrong? What do you think the problem is?
I think it's probably that they don't have any discipline. Maybe their father's not in the home or something. Maybe they're being neglected. But they have no discipline at all, as seen in the video.
Well, I think the problem is probably, you know how all those men would be like when they see the girls, they'd be like, sup, and all those stuff. I think that they were probably saying that to her to get her attention. Because she never really answered, they started following her and just decided to gang her up. Excuse me.
I think it's wrong that all those boys had to be involved. I don't even think that they even knew what was happening. As you can see, there was people coming from across the street, down the block. I don't even think they knew what was happening. They just wanted to get at her.
This is why I don't like going to public school, because I don't like hanging out with a lot of group of boys.
Right.
Because if one person do something to you and you trying to handle it, your whole friends gonna come and gang up on them, and that's not right. But it should have been the boy and the girl taking care of it, but don't hit her. At least talk it out and be friends.
Is this one of the things that, as you spoke about going to public school, would this be something that you all would be concerned about if you had to go to public school?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Talking about the vision that God has called for us in respects to what we saw in this video, right? Is there a contradiction between what God is telling men to be, how God is calling men to stand, as to what we saw in this video? What's the contradiction?
The teaching of this house is, they're saying, Pastor Manny always says, protect the women, not beat them up. Like, protect them.
Right.
It's like if one of the boys was hitting the girls, at least like 5 or 3 of them will come in, tell their friend, don't hit the girl.
Yes.
At least do that instead of only 18 different boys and hitting them. And the woman, what did the woman do that big guy had to jump on top of her?
Yeah. Yeah.
She was just watching what's happening. And these days, people, when they see that happen, they don't do nothing. All they do is watch it.
Why do you
post
think
it.
they don't do anything?
Because they don't want themselves to get involved. But at least call the cops. But they don't want themselves to get. If it was for me, I would have called the cops. But I would not just sit there and video it and put it on Instagram, Snapchat, and all of that.
Yeah, which is what they do.
I personally feel like the boys were threatened by her, because I feel like it should not take all 18 boys to come on and beat her up. If it was between 2 people, then let that 2 people deal with the problem. If y'all, why it took all of them to come beat her up? Like, it's stupid.
This happened last week, as I said initially. Do we have any updates? Has anyone read any updates about this particular story in regards to if they've caught any of the young boys that did this?
I read that five of the victims, their parents brought them in because they told the girl's family that they were sorry, and they never taught their son this. They never taught their son to hit girls. They always taught this.
This was the parents who said this?
Yeah, they taught their sons to protect girls and love them. But she was like, they have to pay for their crimes. She doesn't really believe in young people going to jail, but she said that wasn't right.
Yeah.
That 4 of them got caught though, but I forgot what I was going to say. One of the 14-year-old boy who was involved in this incident, his godmother showed up to a rally held with the neighbors, and she showed up there to apologize, and she talked about how his mother did not raise him to be like this.
Even though the mother of the child apologized for what her son did, I feel like sorry doesn't make up what the boy did to her daughter.
Right.
Like, if I was the mother, I would be so angry, but I know that you have to forgive them. But it takes a lot to forgive because they did this to her daughter.
Yeah.
Now her daughter's in the hospital and she has nothing to do with it.
This is why they need fathers in the home, because it makes them stronger.
That's right.
But my grandmother always tells me this. I was not raised by my mother or my father. I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather. But my grandmother always tells me that it takes a man to raise a boy, and it takes a woman to raise a woman. Cause I think that the mother didn't teach the boys strong enough not to hit girls, but their friends changed their minds and their mindsets to make them hit girls and all of that. That's why I don't like hanging out with a group of boys, because they can make you do a lot of things you don't want to do, and they may change your life to be messed up.
Okay, wait. Two things. I'm going to let you all speak. I'm glad that you all want to talk. But 2 things that you said in the statement that you just made. One is that a woman can't raise a boy, right? Which is what Pastor Manning says all the time. We all know that, right? And the other thing is that you don't like to hang out with a group of boys because then you get caught up in doing the things that they want to do. Now, I have a question that I'm going to throw to you all based upon what you just said, but I'm going to let you all make your statements. So, who wants to start? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. As what she said about the sorry thing, I don't think the mother should have said sorry. I think the son should have said sorry for what he did.
Do you think they're sorry?
No.
Okay.
I think the only reason why I think she said sorry was because he was showing up for his mother. That says something about the parent. So that means that the parent didn't teach her son well. And the son still should have said sorry. Because the mother didn't beat up that girl, he did.
Right.
I also think that you also need God in their hearts, because obviously they didn't have Jesus in their hearts. They were jumping, kicking. Yeah. They just didn't care. And Pastor Manning always says that you really shouldn't hit girls. You should protect them. But they were really beating them up like they didn't care.
Yeah. Going back to the parents saying sorry, I do think that the parents were sorry that their sons were involved in this. I read an article in which one of the mothers who happened to be watching this video recognized her son in the video in the moment of this act. And she stated in the article that when I saw my son's face, I wanted to kill him with my own bare hands, because she was outraged. And she went on to say that she didn't raise him that way. But then it goes back to your point, Fidel, that no matter how much a woman tries, and some of these mothers could have really been trying their very best, they're not men. And it takes a man to raise a boy, to teach a boy how to be strong, how to be manly, how to protect the womb, Charles, as you have stated. But I want to go back to that other question I had based upon what you said, and that is hanging out with a group of people. Do you think it matters who you hang around?
Yes, it really matters, but for me, most of the times I have a lot of friends here, but most of the times when I'm like not around the school, I mostly go to my cousin's house, cause I have friends that lives in my building, but they're like a year younger than me, but I don't really hang around with them. I just go outside just to play basketball with them. I really don't go nighttime. I go home. I don't stay there long.
I think it matters who you hang out with, because my father told me that he was in a group of friends, and sometimes they used to skip school, and he would be carried back in police cars to go to school. And he also said that he was with a group of friends and they robbed somebody, and he had to be in jail for like 2 to 3 days.
Right. So you think it does matter who you are around? What about you, Amir?
I think it does matter because you may say that they're not really bad, but then they'll just wind up bringing you to somebody else you don't know, and then you'll be friends, and then you'll end up doing something stupid.
Well, let me ask you all a question. How do you choose your friends? Because if you're hanging around people, should the people you hang around be like-minded? In other words, should they be like you? Or do you hang around people who are completely opposite of you? How do you choose who are considered your friends?
I would test them, like, I would try to do something bad, but if they tell me, like, to stop, don't do it, then I'd see if they're my real friends or they just want me to, like, help them. Like, you could be accomplished, you may not do anything, but they could do all the work and rob and kill someone, but you might be there, you didn't call the cops or nothing. That's why I like to hang around, like, amongst like 2 people, not a group of like 18 kids and 25.
I think you should pick friends that you want to be like. You should not be friends with someone who get F's and C's and stuff, unless that's what you want to be, because you hanging around them so much that's what kind of mentality you're going to get from them. You should get someone who strives to be the best and who is the best, all A's and excellence. That's how I would choose my friends.
Okay.
I would choose my friends on the way that they act and their personality. Because if they are like mean and they have a horrible spirit, I would not like to be their friends, because I like to hang around with people that are positive, that can make me smile when I am sad.
Right.
I think it takes years to develop like a really good friendship, like with a lot of trust and a lot of and you believe in that person.
I don't want to get out the topic, but going back to the girl that got beat up, did Pastor Manny teach preachers? But in my mind, I think that some of the women's, like, they don't understand what he be really talking about. It's mostly the men that really understand what he's trying to say to us.
What do you mean in terms of how men should be in the Lord?
Yeah, how men should be, but you may say that the women may say that why he preaching so. You know how my grandmother used to tell me that women shows more loves than men. That's why a lot of kids like my age, they like to be with their mothers more, because it makes them softer. But if you be around more men, it makes you stronger too. When you grow up, when you see your son doing what you used to do when you were younger, you tell them to stop, like that.
Remarks to what Adele said, it doesn't just take any kind of man. It has to be a strong leader, righteous man. It can't be one of those soft fathers who let their children do whatever they want. They get in trouble, be like, it's okay, you can do it, just next time do better. No, you need someone who's strong, who'll beat you if you don't listen to them.
Yeah. So we certainly understand, obviously, from what you are saying, what I'm hearing from you is that you need a strong man in the house. And if these young boys had strong men in their homes, this probably would not have taken place, right? Is that what we all agreeing on? And so in our community, talking about the Hamite community, black people, for people who don't get what I'm talking about, that's missing, right? Strong fathers in the home is one of the biggest problems in the Hamite community, right? A lot of young boys are being raised by women. And again, some of the women could be doing the best that they can, but as you stated, Fidel, no matter how good a woman is as a mother to her children, she can't teach a boy how to be a boy. I mean, there's just no way. So obviously, I'm asking you this question, but I know the answer to it. What's the solution?
That's why these days, fathers are like around the corner selling drugs and all of that. That's why kids mostly look up to their father. That's why they do all these bad things that their father. Most of the times when I'm like when next to my house, I see most of the women with their children in the strollers. I really don't see the men around. All I see is them around the corner hanging out with their friends.
Right.
And when the mother calls them to bring money or stuff, one of their friends be like, "Why you listening to women? You supposed to be ruling the world. But if you're ruling the world, at least do something that's right for this country."
Right.
Besides the fathers, I think these boys need to go to church because it doesn't look like they have any God in them. So I think they need to go to church more often.
Yeah, definitely. Why don't we take a break? Hold your thought, because we have a lot more that we want to talk about. So let's take a break and we'll be back.
I like this school because all of the teachers in this school really care about the students. When I first came to this school, I didn't know none of my multiplication. So the second day of school, I went to Maja Bowman's class, and then she taught me. So I want to thank her for that. And I want to thank Sister Lafleur for helping me improve. And I want to thank Pastor Manning and Mother Manning for making this school. And I want to thank my parents for bringing me to this school. And I like this school because it can never be defeated.
Got that right. Are you right about that?
I will never leave this school because it is known as the best school in America.
All right. As we are talking about this particular story with this 15-year-old girl who was beaten by these group of thugs, is what I will call them. And in our discussion, we talked about the family home, having strong fathers in the home, and so forth. Here's my question that I want to raise to you all, and that is, as we're talking about having strong men in the households, one of the problems, again, and that's our main problem, but role models. That's what I want to talk to you all about now. When we're talking about role models, many of these young boys that we've witnessed in this video, and just young people in general, view their role models as rappers, basketball players, some type of sports person, some type of entertainer, like Beyonce and all these other people. Those are their role models. But my question to you is, as we were talking about who you should hang out with like-minded people, what do you choose, or what depicts a role model to you?
Well, my role model is Mother Manning because like the way that she presents herself is so like lovely.
My role model is Pastor Manning because he's a righteous man. He has a beautiful wife, and he's a great person. He's one of the best pastors I've ever known before, and I've been to many churches, and I would like to look just like him in the future and be like him, and probably be the future pastor of this church.
Praise God.
My role model is also Pastor Manning. I like the way he dresses and how he appears. I also have another role model is Bill Gates. He's a very wise man. And 4 years ago, he said that there was going to be an epidemic that men can't cure, and it was going to be more worse than Ebola and any other epidemic. And I think he was right. This epidemic may be coronavirus.
My role model is the same thing as what Mariah said, Mother Manning, because the way she presents herself.
Right.
She's respectful. She walks so petite. She's very virtuous. And no matter what happens, she still has a smile on her face, even though it could be a bad situation.
My role model is Pastor Manning. How he's preached. When I get older, I'll preach my kids the same way. I'll never leave my wife, unless I will never leave my wife. Unlike these young men outside, that's leaving their wives, finding other girlfriends. That's why their life is so messed up, having 30 kids with 10 different wives and all of that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And also about Mother Manning, the way she walks with so much pride. Like she knows that she really has a powerful husband that will protect her in any situation.
My role model is my older sister Anna because she's working very hard and she got into Fordham College and her grades are very good and she's humble, and the school she left a big impact there because all the teachers are saying you should be like Anna because she was very respectful and she was humble and she got hundreds on all her tests.
Let me ask you all a question as we're on the topic of role models. Why do you think that young people choose rappers and people who play in sports and entertainers as their role models? Why do you think they choose them?
I think that they choose these people because they're famous almost, and they see them every day, and everybody knows their name, and they want to be like them, like Kobe Bryant. Even though Kobe Bryant, he was a famous basketball player. Many people knew him and they loved him. Maybe they want to be like that person that they role model after.
I think many people want to be like these rappers because they grew up in the environment where they were listening to a lot of these songs. Most of their parents would listen to the song, and every time they would walk down the street, they would listen it. I also think people listen to sports because it's kind of like people want role models to be. They choose their role models as people who play sports because it's kind of a way to get out of the hood or get out of the environment they are and make their parents proud.
The thing is that it isn't bad to be like the basketball players and stuff, but you just have to know the right person to be like Kobe Bryant. You have to be like someone who is more educated and has a great personality.
It doesn't matter who your role model is, but as long as they didn't do bad things, like Dwayne Reed, he let his son cut his peanuts off, but that's bad because when he gets older, he may like a girl, but he can't do nothing about it. Like, for instance, I would like to be like Michael Jordan. He used to be humble and all of that. His coach used to make him feel bad and all of that. Like, don't care what other people says, like Pastor Manning. Don't care what other people says. Do what is right and succeed your dreams.
But, okay, going back to what you stated, my reasons for asking you what do you depict as a role model is exactly because of the statement you made and the example with Dwayne Wade. When you choose role models like this and you look up to them and they make decisions that are outside of what you've been taught or what your values are or what your belief system is, people tend to follow that. Right? People tend to follow that because that's the person they're looking up to. So bringing up Dwayne Wade, people who use Dwayne Wade as their role model will say, well, if he's supportive of his son being a girl, what's the big deal? That's my role model. I want to be like Dwayne Wade. So if he says it's okay, then it's okay. You understand what I'm getting at, right? Go ahead.
Just because your role model do certain stuff and nobody says nothing, that doesn't mean it's right. Like, if somebody murders someone and they get away with it, that doesn't mean like it's right to murder someone or do things that's bad.
I think people who are big in music or big in sports, famous people, I think a lot of people pick them to be their role models, and then when they do something, they will follow them because they look up to them and they think it's right.
Right. But do you think that is the way that society should go?
No.
So if you, and all of you shared who your role models were, and obviously you have great role models, but if you would talk to young people, right? Talk to the young people who choose rappers as their role models or people who play sports as their role models, what would you say would be your idea of role model? What should be a role model?
A role model is like a person that does some bad stuff, like this rapper YNW Millie. He has a little brother, but before he killed his best friend, he told his little brother that don't follow my footsteps. I'm doing this to show you that you're going to get consequences. That's why his little brother is not following his footsteps.
Okay.
I will tell the little children that to pick a role model who is determined and who would work, who will do anything to do what their dream is, who will sacrifice anything to just do what they want to do.
Go ahead. Either or.
I would tell people to pick role models like if you're really inspired in something, like somebody who is a professional, or they work in a certain area. Like for example, if you like cooking, your role model might be Gordon Ramsay or something like that.
I think role models should have a goal that they want to do, that they know they're going to do it. And I think they should be humble and they should believe in God.
I also think a role model should try to be the best no matter what. They should always strive for the best.
I would tell kids that to find a role model that is educated and determined to do what they want to do, and a role model that guides them in the right direction. Do not tell them to do foolishness.
Right.
If you have if you have a role model like your big sister, if they know that you are their role model, they should try their best to show you what's right, and show if they do something wrong, like correct you, tell you don't do what I do now, do something different. If every time you do something wrong.
Go ahead.
Like Fadel was talking about the older sibling, you know, when you look up to them, when you see them doing excellent, you see them succeeding, you would attend these things to dedicate time to them for doing something like getting on the dean's list or the honor roll or something. You know that's what you want to be like when they call their name and they're up there. And when they graduate from college, you see your sister or brother walking down the aisle. It makes you feel proud someday, say maybe that's going to be me someday.
So your ideas, from what I'm listening to you all say, of role models should not be based solely on how much money they have. Right? Because a lot of these role models, as we talk about people who play sports or in the entertainment industries or the rappers, have a lot of money. And for many of the children, they choose them because of that, right? But what I'm hearing you all say is that it's beyond money. It's about growing. It's about evolving as a human being. It's about accomplishing things, right? That's who you're saying should be role models, right? Well, I pray that other young people are listening to what you all are saying. We don't have that much time yet, but quickly I wanted to go over to the fact that in Zimbabwe, parents, and I know you all have read the articles, parents could now face up to 2 years in jail if they fail to send their children to school. You all read this, right? Yes. What do you all think about this?
Every children should go to school to get their education, but as for one of my father's little brother, they didn't go to school at all because my grandfather let them farm. Yeah. But he told me that no matter what happens, go to school and make your children go to school. Don't make them not go to school because it's going to be bad for them when they get older.
And tell everyone where your family's from.
My family's from Senegal, the west side.
Okay.
Well, I also think that it's good for your children to go to school so they can get an education. But maybe if you don't have the money, it's not your fault that you cannot send your kids to school. But also sometimes parents just allow their kids to go wild and do whatever they want to do, which is also not right. So this topic is kind of controversial.
Do you think that this is the case in Zimbabwe, though, as we're talking about what's happening with them? Are the parents keeping their children out of school because they want to? No. You had something to say?
I think that the parents should let them go to school because it'll set a great future for them, and they'll have they'll have a profession and something, or maybe a job, and later on they'll pay off or probably get their parents a house, something.
And where's your family from?
Burkina Faso.
Okay, so Burkina Faso and Senegal, right? And as we're talking about Zimbabwe, which is in the continent of Africa, do children in Senegal that you know of, does every child go to school in Senegal that you know of?
Every child goes to school, but if sometimes some kids in the school, the gates is open because sometimes people come to school late normally.
Right.
Some people get out of school, but I have my school is really big in Senegal. It's like they teach every single language. So I have guards all over the school. If you leave, they bring you I don't know how you say it in English, but they bring you in a room where they beat you next time you come out of school. They use these big sticks and they're gonna beat you really hard.
And Burkina Faso, all children go to school there. Yeah. So do you think that these parents should be jailed, is my question?
Yes.
Why? Is it the parents that are keeping their children out of school on their own? Or is it because that they don't have the monies to pay for their children's education? You all read the article, right? Yeah. So what do you think?
Most of the parents, 25% of the parents have money and the rest of them don't have money. That's why most of them go to public school. But in my fact, if you don't have money, try to find another job that will give you a lot of money in order for you to bring your student to a private school. I'll do anything to bring my children to school.
Okay.
I think parents are not doing this on purpose. I think it's because they don't have enough money to pay school fees, because sometimes they don't even have enough money to get bread. And I don't think that's right for the parents to go to jail, because if they don't have enough money or they can't afford to get jobs.
Okay.
I don't know this, but I think that is jobs in Africa scarce? Yeah, so maybe it's hard for them to find a job because sometimes it's scarce.
It is.
In Africa, in the jobs, sometimes they put you in a test to be a worker, like a construction worker. They make you thing. My uncle that lives with me in Senegal, he told me they put him to the test to build a small house.
Right.
He took almost a month to build it. I helped him with it, to paint and all of that. It's really hard. You have to sweat. It's hot there. It's never cold.
Right.
So you got to work really hard to earn the money.
Well, I'll tell you what the article says. The article says that 60% of children in primary school were sent home for failing to pay their fees, all right? So as a result of not paying their fees, they couldn't go to school. And as a result of not being able to go to school, there was this new law now that came into place to saying that they were going to be jailed. Anyone else before we close out?
I feel like it's not the parents' fault that they can't pay the fees, but I feel like the head person at that school should find a little kindness in their heart to let the students stay in school a little bit longer until the parent get back on their feet. Because I know it's really hard to make money out in the world, and it's very tough that your child can't go to school because you can't afford to pay for their school fee.
Okay, I'm going to leave that, Genesis, with the last note. Obviously, we are not done with this discussion. I'm sorry, but we don't have enough time. We are going to pick this up again when we meet again for the current events class. Thank you all for sharing with me today. Again, as I've said many times previous, I hope you all were as blessed as I have been to sit here with these brilliant young children. And we will have more to share with you next week during the current events class. Peace out.
Peace.